Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, then thank you for checking out my channel. So a few months back, I put out a video called The Worst Celebrities in Hollywood, where I talked about Ellen DeGeneres, Chris Brown, and Amber Heard, and why they're terrible people. If you haven't yet seen it, then you can click up top to check it out. Now the reason why I'm bringing this video up is because a few weeks ago, it became the most watched video on this channel, surpassing my very first video that I ever made. For the most part, I was super happy with how that video turned out, and I'm psyched that it's now my most watched video. However, it is also my most disliked video due to the fact that YouTube started recommending it to Chris Brown's fans, who seem to be almost as crazy and prone to anger as he is. Basically, they started disliking the video and leaving a lot of pretty nasty comments, some of which I've had to delete, all because I mentioned that Chris Brown physically assaulted Rihanna back in 2009 and a bunch of women over the years as well. So in order to combat some of that anger and hate from that Worst Celebrities video, I decided to make a video where I talk about 4 of the nicest and most wholesome celebrities who are still working in Hollywood. Will this work? No, probably not. But it is still going to be nice to talk about a bunch of celebrities who do a lot of good with their wealth and fame.
People say less is less, I say more is more, and the more the better.
You probably know Dolly Parton as the famous country singer and songwriter from the 1970s and 1980s, writing songs such as Jolene and 9 to 5. Or if you're closer to my age, you might know her as Miley's Aunt Dolly from the show Hannah Montana. Dolly is one of the most famous female country artists in the entire world, and one thing she has done with that immense wealth and fame is create the Dollywood Foundation charity, which is funded directly by her. Her charity provides funds for the Red Cross, helps combat HIV and AIDS, and helps to bring jobs to lower income regions. But I think the most impressive thing her charity does is the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, which is a free program that parents can sign their child up for in order for them to receive 1 book a month from the time they're born to the time they turn 5 years old. And personally, I think that is such a great idea for a charity because it's a great way to combat illiteracy in lower income households, as well as to encourage education in young children. And if that was not enough information for me to convince you what a great person Dolly Parton is, did you know that she is actually partially responsible for the COVID-19 vaccine? She donated $1 million to research for the Moderna vaccine, and then when the vaccines became available to the public, she filmed herself receiving the vaccine and encouraged others to do the same. Now, she was not at all the only celebrity to help fund COVID relief. Lady Gaga, Rihanna, and Leonardo DiCaprio, to name a few, are some other celebrities who helped fund COVID relief either directly or indirectly through their own charities. But Dolly was one of the few people who donated directly to the research of the vaccine. So you can thank the wonderful Dolly Parton for not only some amazing songs, but also for helping to end this horrible pandemic.
And his name is John Cena!
John Cena has been a professional wrestler since the early 2000s, and although I'm not a huge fan of the sport, I know that some people who are fans of wrestling either love the guy or they hate him. This is because he would make a big spectacle about fighting these up-and-coming wrestlers and then beating them, much to the disappointment of their fans and overall fans of wrestling. However, regardless of how you feel about him, he is apparently one of the nicest and most laid-back celebrities out there. I'm sure you've seen all the memes and jokes floating around the internet about him, and it makes me very, very happy that the "you can't see me" meme will probably never die. Now, I'm sure a lot of celebrities out there would probably take most of the jokes about them pretty poorly, but John Cena, on the other hand, seems to have no problem with all the jokes and memes about him and actually enjoys using them himself. However, the main reason why he is on this list is because of his work with the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Now, with John Cena being one of the most famous wrestlers of all time, a lot of kids who are a part of the Make-A-Wish Foundation ask to meet him. Not only does he comply with some of these wishes, but he has actually granted over 650 wishes for these children, which is the most in Make-A-Wish history. So John Cena, even though we can't see you, we sure can see your actions.
We have responsibilities, and so we'll make sacrifices.
Now, in case you've been living under a rock and have no idea who Keanu Reeves is, he's been a huge actor since the 80s and still continuously stars in some of the best action movies in Hollywood, despite being 56 years old. Now, Keanu is fairly quiet and private in real life, which is pretty well the exact opposite to some celebrities who are super loud and obnoxious. One of the main reasons for this is because Keanu has gone through some very hard times in his life. In late 1999, his girlfriend, Jennifer Syme, gave birth to a baby girl, but their baby ended up being stillborn. Then about a year and a half after that, Syme was killed in a car accident. Now, the two of them had been broken up for a pretty fair amount of time at that point, but it was also very obvious that both of these losses truly impacted Keanu. Keanu has been beloved by the internet for the past few years due to him always seeming so humble and down to earth. And there are a ton of examples of this, whether it's him giving up his subway seat to a fellow passenger or him taking massive pay cuts in movies so that the studio can afford to hire bigger actors or increase his special effects budgets. But the biggest reason why Keanu is on this list is because of his charity work, which has him running a private charitable foundation for children's hospitals and cancer research, which he himself donates millions of dollars to every single year. Now, admittedly, it was pretty tricky to find some of this information due to Keanu being very private about his donations, as opposed to him just posting it all over his social media in order to make himself look better in the public eye. Because he is so private, I wasn't able to find an exact number of how much he's donated over the years, but to my understanding, it is a very large amount. Keanu is one of those actors who genuinely seems super nice and down to earth in person. So Keanu, if by any chance you're watching this, I just want to say that you're breathtaking.
You're breathtaking!
Because your legacy is every life you've touched.
Oprah is best known for her talk show, also called Oprah, which ran from 1986 to 2011. In that time, she managed to become one of the richest and most influential women in the entire world. She was North America's first African-American multi-billionaire and has been dubbed the Queen of all media. Now, behind this insane success story is a girl who was born into poverty to a single mother. She had an incredibly hard childhood where she was molested and ended up giving birth to a stillborn child at only 14 years of age. And if that is not horrible enough for you, one of her family members ended up selling this story to a magazine against her consent and made this entire ordeal public. However, years later, she managed to reinvent herself by taking up a few different jobs, anchoring different news stations, before eventually creating her own television network and becoming the powerful woman of media that we all know. I think we all know just how much Oprah loves to give away different stuff to the audiences of her show. But these are not the only things that she gives away. From 2004 to 2012, it is estimated that she gave away over $400 million to different educational causes, such as grants and scholarships for students. During Hurricane Katrina, she donated $10 million to the Hurricane Relief Fund, and she even created the Oprah's Angel Network in 1998, which ran until 2010. This charity raised more than $80 million, with Oprah herself covering all of the administrative costs, so that money went directly to charity. For someone to go through such a difficult childhood and still manage to build themselves a media empire, while also remaining grateful and giving back to those who need it, is an incredible and frankly pretty rare thing. And honestly, it makes me feel bad for laughing when Josh hit her with his car. So those are the 4 people who I deem to be the most wholesome celebrities in Hollywood, not just because of who they are as people, but because they give back. Now, I know for a fact that these people are not the only nice and wholesome celebrities in Hollywood, so if you can think of any more, then please feel free to let me know down in the comments below. I would love to read up about them. And thank you all so much for watching this video. I genuinely hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to this channel, and I hope to see you in my next video.